All right, peace, 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 sunshine, and so welcome. This is the fourth session, right? And within this session, we are going to be discussing your Venus, your Mars, your Saturn, and your Jupiter. We're going to be covering these four planets within this session. Now, when it comes to Venus, right? Venus is the planet that deals with how one associates in social settings. So Venus is like the relationship planet, and Venus rules both Taurus and Libra, which are the relationship signs, right? And so Venus, beyond just being a social planet, also embraces pleasure, enjoyment, things like that, if you know what I'm saying. Venus embraces things like art, for example, things like beauty, fashion, music, just a couple of different things. And when you think of Venus, right, within the body, Venus rules like the Venetian, the Venetian. I never know if I'm saying that right. It's spelled like Venetian, so I'll say Venetian. It's like the Venus, like the veins, right? It's like the vein system. And the thing about the veins, and you're a nurse, right? So you can fact check me on this. The thing about the veins is they're more of a feminine type of system. Meanwhile, our arteries are more so responsible for applying the pressure upon the veins that contributes to the circulation of the blood, right? So the veins, in a sense, react to the pressure of the arteries, and that, in a sense, goes on to allow the blood to circulate. And so, just like the way that the system of Venus expresses in a rather submissive and passive way, Venus in of herself is a planet that deals with the path of least resistance, right? So she can promote negatively. She can promote like laziness and sloth type energy. That's like the Taurus energy as well, because you're a Taurus. But more harmoniously, she can portray this energy of like likelihoodness, not being so combative or approbative. Like the Venetian energy is very light, this she expresses through friendliness and kindness and all that good stuff. So these are all things that are Venetian related. And so first and foremost, if you're having Venus in Virgo, when Venus is in Virgo, Venus is like, that's not it, you know what I'm saying? Like Venus doesn't like being in the sign of Virgo. It's in a sense debilitated in Virgo and exalted in the opposite sign of Virgo, which is Pisces. And so the thing is, Venus is like love, right? It's more like love. Mars is lust, but Venus is like personal interests in love, right? So like romance and foreplay and all that good stuff. And so Pisces is like the hopeless romantic. Pisces are typically delusional, if you know what I'm saying, and they'll typically fall in love, without fact checking or anything like that. And so that's why Venus likes being in the sign Pisces. She can kind of get swept away in love and all that good stuff. But when in Virgo, Venus kind of becomes a little bit more critical, a little bit more analytical, and kind of has to do background checks and fact checks, and takes a more grounded approach in regards to her relationship experiences. Like Venus in Virgo, these are the individuals that are more likely to approach relationships from a business perspective, a business standpoint. But you have your Venus in the fourth house, right? And so the fourth house is the house of family, right? It's like very much wife material energy. right? Like your energy of cooking, your energy of having a capacity to, like, not only serve, like, your partner, your husband, but also create a family. 'Cause, the fourth house is a house of family. It's like the house of that nurturing energy, because the fourth house is the house of Cancer, right? So these are all things that are also integrated within your love language or your love style. And speaking of love languages, you may be the type who may be inclined more towards speaking your love through acts of service, through doing practical things. You may not be heavy on telling people you love them, even though you being like a sun in Cancer, being all mushy, kind of, right? Because that moon in Scorpio kind of makes you a little tough, a soldier, right? Who doesn't really show her hands, and like the moon, like I mentioned. Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. All right, so we're gonna do something a little different this time around. So my camera just died, right? And so I'm gonna continue this reading, but with this session, I'll just do it audio, for what I'm saying. And so yeah, as I was saying, like with the energy of Venus is very much, well, this is pretty convenient for me because I myself can get a little bit more comfortable. And yeah, it's all in alignment with the Venetian energy, you feel me? So as I was saying previously, Venus is all about like enjoyment and all that good stuff. And so Virgo being the sign that deals with productivity, particularly the sign of work and labor, this may indicate, and I think that within your chart somewhere, I really spoke about this energy of enjoying work and kind of attaining pleasure from your work. Like that Venus in Virgo kind of adds to it. It adds more to this energy of kind of confusing play and work, and in a sense acquiring pleasure from both, if that makes sense. But simultaneously, with Venus and Virgo, this energy can play out as like one's relationships maybe becoming more about practical compatibility than emotional and physical compatibility. And what I mean by this is like, Virgo is a sign that's also very resourceful, also very like the earth sign, so it's very logical and practical, and they may approach relationships from a business transactional point of view. Which I find funny because I remember we were talking and you were explaining the transaction that happens between you and men who are in their lust, right? But yeah, essentially, that's very much like the Venus in Virgo, right? It's very much grounded in practicality. And because Virgo is a very detailed orientated sign, it can also at times produce like this, I forget the term, it's like a S word, where you're like more inclined towards seeing all the bad rather than the good. And it kind of sounds like cynicism, like a cynist or something like that. Where you're like more towards seeing all the negatives rather than the positives. Like sometimes with the Venus and Virgo energy, it may express in that manner. And also with like the moon and Scorpio, may express in a manner where attention and focus may be directed more so towards the negative than the positive. when it comes to partners and relationships type energy. And this kind of just also hints at the point of view of Virgo kind of being a perfection type of energy. Maybe wanting the perfect. Hold on. Rather than saying wanting the perfect relationship, wanting to perfect relationships in general. You feel what I'm saying? And Virgo is like mutable earth, and the way that mutable earth expresses is like liquid earth, right? And liquid earth is like mortar, mortar and cement, which are things used in a sense to put things together, if that makes sense. I was watching this video on like Reels, and like this dude was like combining cement and glue together and putting things together, and like it was a very powerful like glue, for what I'm saying. But yeah, that's what Virgo does. It likes to put things together, piece things together. When I think of Virgo, I also kind of think of like the inner workings of a clock. Virgo is all about how things work and kind of wanting to, in a sense, break things apart and put them back together. So for instance, the fact that you are a relationship therapist, right? And you study relationships and you, in a sense, break them down and look at the more practical energy aspect of it, and kind of have this step-by-step plan type, because that's what Virgo is all about. It's about instructions and step-by-step energies and practicality. The fact that you're in that energy when it comes to relationships is very much in alignment with your Virgo Venus energy, right? And so to get more into this, Venus and Virgo is like people that are great lovers, because they have capacity to commit. Like they're very, very powerful in committing. But then sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, their love life or their partnership and relationship may manifest more so as a duty and responsibility than an actual energy of emotional transaction. Instead, like material transaction, I guess you can say. And so sometimes their commitment may be at fault, or it's like they may stick around and be there for all of the wrong reasons, all of like the practical reasons, earthly related reasons, whether it be because of resource reasons or because they just want to help the person that they're in the relationship with. Like Virgo are service orientated, right? Like in the sky, Virgo is depicted as like the hold on, I'm thinking the servants, right? The maiden. So yeah, and so also to get into your your Venus in the fourth house. The fourth house is ultimately the house that deals with the home life. It deals with family, all that good stuff. And so with you having Virgo, and with you having Venus in the fourth house, this indicates that, your lovey-dovey relationship energy, but also your energies of enjoyment and pleasure and artistic and beautiness all may find themselves expressed specifically in the home. And so one of the things with Venus is it's the planet of harmony, right? Harmony through social interactions, harmony through the arts and beauty and music, right? And so it being in the fourth house, this energy can indicate that there is a lot of harmonious energies within your home and within your familial energy. within your home life and within your familial energy. But more so, Venus is a social planet, so it may be the reason also why you and like your family, maybe more so your immediate family rather than your distant family, are so connected and like are friends. Like there's this friendship energy there, possibly. And it's like we also do gotta take into consideration that Venus is debilitated in Virgo. So when Venus is debilitated in Virgo, it's kind of this energy of criticism manifesting from like your friends and your love life, like a very practical type of energy of perfectionism, where it's like they may love you not for you but for what you can do for them, possibly type energy, because Virgo is very earthly, practical like that. uh, and so it may, because Venus is debilitated, I can't really talk about Venus's energy alone, because in its debilitations its energies kind of get inverted, and instead of harmony, I can kind of express even as overthinking and overanalyzing, if that makes sense, or even paranoia in regards to where like the relationship energies are concerned. These are just possibilities as well, but all kind of encompass this energy of Venus and Virgo in the fourth house, the good and the bad that I explained. But in general, Venus and Virgo in the fourth house indicates there being some sort of like harmony in the home life, the family life. And so, yeah, like Virgo is, hold on. Well, I was going to mention your moon actually. Like, like with your moon being in the sign of Scorpio, it kind of paints a more chaotic energy where family is concerned. But then with Venus being in your fourth house, it indicates a possibility of harmony that can manifest where family is concerned. With Venus being in Virgo, it may indicate that the harmony may not so much be emotionally, but more so from a practical perspective, of maybe resources or tangible physical manifestations of appreciation. But yeah, I'll leave it at that, and we hope that that all made sense to you. Now we'll get into your Mars, which is in Cancer. So your Mars is in Cancer within the second house, and so you also have Venus squaring your moon. We'll get more into that later when we're talking about the aspects. But a square between planets kind of highlights and indicates a friction type of energy. And in this case, the moon is like the home life. Well, more so like the mind. It does connect with the home life and family, but the moon more so deals with the mind, your perception on life, how you react and respond to things. So both the moon and Mercury deal with how you react and respond to things. But that's why like the crescent moon is on top of Mercury, because Mercury is like the symbol of Venus and the symbol of the moon combined. But yeah, we'll get into that later though. That will add more friction onto your like dynamic with like possibly maybe even like your mother if she was there, with you having that Venus and Scorpio. I mean that moon in Scorpio. It's a MIA type of energy with the mother, right? Either she may have died or she just may not have been there in your life. There may have been like addiction related type of energies, or just some crazy intense, this energy of Scorpio. Yeah, we'll get into that later when we're talking about the aspects, but right now let's focus on Mars in Cancer in the second house. So you have your Mars in Cancer in the second house, and the only thing there's no aspects to Mars. So if you have your Mars in Cancer in your second house, what this all means is this is another debilitation. So you have your moon in a debilitated place, you have Venus in a debilitated place, you have Mars in a debilitated place, but you have Saturn exalted and Jupiter at home, which is good. It's not all bad. There's good as well. We'll get more into that later though. So Mars is the planet that deals with aggression. When I say aggression, you can just think raw, explosive energy. You feel me? Mars deals with raw, explosive energy. It deals with activity in general. It deals with ambition. It deals with passion. It deals with one's sex drive as well. It deals with things like lust, all that good stuff. But it also deals with anger and rage and all that good stuff as well. And so Mars is not happy when it's in Cancer. Mars is like debilitated here. Mars likes to be in Capricorn. It likes to be in Aries, and it likes to be in Scorpio. So with you having the planet, well, the moon, right? The moon be in the sign of Scorpio. So although the moon is out of its element in Scorpio and Cancer, and Mars is out of its element in Cancer, they kind of have this synergy together where it's like they're exchanging energies with one another that helps bring balance in equilibrium, right? Like the moon is influenced and ruled by Mars's energy because it's in Mars's sign, but then Mars is influenced and ruled by the moon because it's in the moon's sign. But the way that they're influencing each other, there is a common like energy present, right? So it's not completely all bad. And let me explain how it plays out. So Mars is like in Cancer, because Mars is like energy, raw energy and aggression. It indicates that a lot of your raw energy and aggression is of an emotional nature. What I'm saying, like when Mars expresses, in general through the water and the fire sign, right? And when Mars is in Capricorn, its aggressive energy kind of expresses through the physical world into the acquisition of success. But when it's in Cancer, then Cancer is the first sign, and it's an inner sign as well, and it deals with the emotions and the feelings. And so there's a lot of aggressive energy there where feelings and emotions are concerned. So there's a lot of like pent up energy that's connected and associated with like the childhood and the upbringing and familial energies. Like when Mars is in Cancer, sometimes this can even depict like certain sexual misconduct, like sexual trauma that may have stemmed from childhood, possibly, that may need to be like dealt with and released and healed. And of course, you may have already done that healing and that releasing energy and all that good stuff. But in general, a lot of the times when Mars is in Cancer, like a lot of aggressive energy connected and associated to familial ties. You know what I'm saying? And I do know you were telling me that you kind of had certain fallouts with your siblings and all that good stuff. And so that may be even where like you may need to do the healing. And so I don't mean by that to say that you need like to reconnect with them, even though maybe that may help. But what I more mean is to heal those wounds that happened. You feel what I'm saying? And release any malice and any hatred or revenge type of energy, or just anger type of energy that's directed towards them. That may be operating more so from a uh, behind the scenes subconscious perspective, right? And so, to get more into this energy of Cancer in Mars, when Cancer is in Mars, these are individuals whose motivation is more inclined towards the emotion, and family may be a great motivator in the sense of like taking care of your family, right? Like you shared with me a lot that you feel like your family and your siblings, not siblings, your children, right, were a great like motivator in regards to you coming up, you can say, and not giving up, right? And so when Mars is in Cancer, Mars is the planet of like initiative type of energy. It's the planet of motivation, right? And so yeah, that may be one of the energies, not maybe, but that is one of the energies that tremendously kind of fuels your fire to keep going and to push forward, like your family, and making sure that you're good for it, like you shine where family is concerned, if that makes sense. Okay, now, hold on. Now, also, let me break this down as well. When it comes to Mars and Cancer, because of the day and age that we live in, and because there isn't much necessity for aggression like there would have been if we were more in a primate state, the Mars and Cancer energy can be advantageous, especially in this especially in this business setting where in a sense emotion and the capacity to build relationship is supreme, right? And so Mars and Cancers can shine in this time and age because there isn't per se a need for aggression, but a need to nurture and to love and to take care. So if we're to speak on times of war, like the Mars and Cancer energy would be like the nurse, right, who is the field nurse who is out in battle and is like taking care of and nurturing and healing the wounds of the soldiers, and like, or like the cook, right, who's providing and cooking the meals for the, if that's even a thing, right? Because I'm pretty sure like the soldiers, they kind of have prepped meals that they go out into the field with, but I'm kind of highlighting the nurturing energy of this Mars in Cancer. That Mars in Cancer nurtures when war is at hand, right? That is Mars in Cancer's not field, but choices of weapons, right? That cooking skills, that nurturing, motherly, loving energy. So, in the name of aggression and in the name of war, which Mars stands by, like that isn't so compatible like that, but like in the name of this day and age, it is not a bad energy to have. You feel what I'm saying? And in a business setting, this would be like you having a capacity to use your emotional intelligence to kind of be like know how to play on people's emotions, right? And like Cancer, I mean, Mars being like sexual energy and Cancer being kind of this emotion, nurturing, caring related type of energy, it would also make sense in regards to your ability to play on men's emotions in regards to their sexual desires, right? Because that is pretty Mars and Cancer type of energy for sure. Um, yeah, And so this energy is amplified, and there's a little bit more layers added to it with the fact that you have Mars in Cancer and the Moon in Scorpio. Like, because you have both the presence of Scorpio and the presence of Mars. So, like, when you black out and you have all that rage and anger, that aggression, that's more like your Moon in Scorpio than your Mars in Cancer. Because, like, the thing with Mars and Cancer, to give another example, is Mars in Cancer can be somewhat indirect, somewhat passive aggressive. When you think of the crab, right, which is signified by Cancer, the crab doesn't walk head first, right? It kind of walks in circles, kind of, is indirect in its approach type energy. So, yeah, there can be somewhat passive aggressive type energy too as well. But yeah, like your emotions are your weapons. And the better you know how to use your emotions, the better it will be for you, right? And it goes deeper. Just in general, anything that's Cancer related is a part of your weapon inventory. Because that's what Mars is. It represents your weapons of war, we can say, right? And war can even be like you going out uh, and like accomplishing a goal and having all these obstacles and challenges you have to overcome. Like, it doesn't have to be gruesome. But yeah, that's Mars in Cancer. And so to get into Mars in the second house. So as we mentioned earlier, Mars is the planet that deals with one's capacity for um ambition and motivation and aggression and all that good stuff. It's kind of like strife energy too, needing to overcome things and all that good stuff. And so with Mars being in the second house, the house of personal possessions, values, in general, things that you yourself may value, maybe like people you may value, energies within yourself you think to be valuable, things like money and resources, because not everyone values money. So the second house truly is the house of value in general. While everyone values money, technically, that's why they go out and work for it, but they pretend like they don't. We can put it like that. So with you having Mars in the second house, it indicates that where strife was related was in personal resources, making sure that you had your own money, that you had your own resources in general, right? So where Mars manifests, it's not like Venus, or Venus kind of brings things easily to you, and it kind of may bring things as a result of having experiences with others. Mars is like, nah, you gotta go out and struggle and strive and overcome these obstacles and challenges in order for you to get this. So it's kind of like an erect type of energy of like that Aries energy of like Spartacus type energy, where it's like, this means war, you feel me, and just explosive. So it's not about restrictions and resistance, because that's Saturn's energy. Mars is all about overcoming those challenges and breaking through restrictions and limitations. And so for you, that was in your energy of resources. And so that maybe have been the place where you may have invested a lot of energy into, a lot of work into. And so now, when it comes to money and when it comes to personal resources, maybe even you being a person that's resourceful and a person of value, not even just from money, but like you having skills and all these other good things, right? Um, what this indicates is that money is one of those things that you now get maybe a lot of, because you strive and worked hard for it. And now, because you spend so much time working hard for it, it's kind of easy it kind of expresses and ambitiousness and this energy of having it and acquiring it. But Mars being in Cancer in the second house can also indicate that things you value may be more so intangible. Family may be one of those things, especially your immediate family, may be one of those things that you put a lot of value to, and because you feel like it's of value. Or even things like your emotions, maybe things that you may think to be of value, a valuable tool. And yeah, I would say that pretty much is that. Like wherever Mars is in regards to the houses, energy expresses through strife, but eventually, whatever you're striving towards, you will accomplish. So yeah, that's like the second house in Mars. And Mars, being like the planet that deals with aggression, the planet that deals with like the sex drive, things like lust. It may also indicate that one of your values may be your sexual energy, your aggressive energies, your ability to create chaos and mayhem. That's very Martian like. This Martian will fuck shit up. So that's like the Mars and the Cancer in the second house. Now to get into your, hold on, give me a second. Now to get into your Jupiter. So you have Jupiter and Sagittarius in the seventh house. So, okay, the Jupiter and Sagittarius in the seventh house. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, the planet of philosophy, the planet of spirituality. Jupiter is the planet that deals and embraces all things that are related to, relationships. Not relationships, that's the seventh house. Yeah, Jupiter embraces all things dealing with experiences, dealing with expansion, right? Dealing with wisdom and knowledge. It's not only the planet of spirituality, but planet of religion as well, but in general, it's the planet of expansion. And so Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so the energy of Sagittarius is everything I explained about Jupiter, right? Sagittarius is a very free, dumb-orientated sign. Sagittarius is all about thoughts, especially higher thoughts, thoughts that don't deal with the physical or immediate reality, but thoughts that deal with spirituality, The seventh house, Sagittarius is a very conducive energy to the Jupiter energy, right? Because it's ruled by Jupiter. Sagittarius is all about experience, faith, optimism, philosophy, and reason. Believing in that within every experience you have, there is a higher purpose, a higher reason. So this Jupiter and Sagittarius does enable you to kind of have a capacity to see the bigger picture and maybe even to an extent understand the value of the scriptures and spirituality and all that good stuff. And so this energy is specifically channeled into your seventh house, right, which is the house that deals with relationships. So wherever Jupiter is, Jupiter expresses through abundance. And so Jupiter being in the seventh house, it may signify that where your relationships are concerned, there is an abundance type of energy there. Right? And this can, of course, play out as you have many suitors, many men that are interested in wanting to have a relationship with you. But simultaneously with the Jupiter and Sagittarius, it can even just play out as you having various experiences and opportunities to grow and expand through your experiences with relationships, right? And so, for instance, both Jupiter and Sagittarius, but we'll kind of hone in on Sagittarius because this is the Sagittarian energy of Jupiter. Sagittarius deals with foreigners, right? deals with people in different countries. Because Sagittarius deals with long distance travel, having to go to different lands and different places. But it not only deals with long distance travel from a physical perspective, but it also deals with long distance travels from a mental standpoint. So maybe getting into a conversation that takes you into places of the mind you don't usually visit, or even spiritual travel. So maybe like meditating and attaining high emotions and feelings of blissfulness and all that good stuff that you may not be accustomed to and normally feel. Like, different lands, like far away. And so physically, that may manifest as foreigners, right? So, um, like maybe, like for instance, you attracting me into your life, and because our relationship is very personal. It's not per se like a romantic one or anything like that, but it is a personal one because helping you dive into your energetic makeup, and that's a very personal thing to do. So yeah, like I'll be, for instance, an individual that would be like in your seventh house, right? And I think I'm a very good example to expand on your Jupiter and Sagittarius in the seventh house. So Jupiter in the seventh house will attract you people that are spiritual, people that are maybe teachers, scholars, people that have certain knowledge and wisdom, that may be either of like a different. No? Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, anyways, so saying, hold on. Um, but yeah, so as I was saying, I was breaking it down for you. Yeah, it's that Jupiter and Sagittarius energy in the seventh house that attracts you certain people that may be, optimistic, even positive, go beat, go beat, upbeat, rather I should say. Um, and I feel like even, for example, right, like you attracting certain people and having experience like in your clinical experience with like working with addicts and giving them methadone, I think it is, and like helping them that way, and them like being so appreciative and showing their love to you, and showing you, calling you sunshine and all that good stuff, like, because I'm pretty sure there were many different nurses there, but the energy wasn't the same that you may have received. And that's that Jupiter energy, because Jupiter, like I said, is very expansive and very optimistic. Yeah, is the word optimistic? Yeah, very expansive and positive, and yeah. And so I would assume, like working with someone that close and helping them manage their addiction and work through their addiction, that's a very personal thing as well. So that would be a seventh house Jupiter type of energy. And so with you having that Jupiter in the seventh house, this can also attract to you men, people, right, who may be wealthy, possibly, and maybe this may be even wealth in regards of the mind, right, mentally having a lot to offer you, philosophically having a lot to offer you, like knowledge, like myself, for example, right. I feel like me using me is a good example to kind of expand your awareness on it, right? So like I have all this knowledge and this wisdom, like a lot of it, right, which is very Jupiterian, is what I'm saying. So it can express that way as either you're attracting men with a bunch of material wealth, money, or you're attracting men with intellect and knowledge. What I'm saying. But yeah, with Jupiter being in Sagittarius, your relationships, your personal relationships, may take you to places of like what's that word? charity. That's not the word I'm looking for, but the word I was looking for means charity as well. Like, that word is not coming to me. It's like a word that starts with OP. You feel me? Like to be. Yeah, that word is not coming to me. But charity and that word are synonymous. So being like very charitable and giving, and it's not philanthropy either. Maybe I was looking for the word philanthropy. Like just being very giving and loving type of energy as well, with you having that Jupiter and Sagittarius in the 7th house. But I'll conclude your Jupiter and Sagittarius in the 7th house by explaining that where Jupiter in the 7th house energy is concerned, kind of like you need to, not need to, but give me a sec. You needing to, hold on, I want to make sure I'm still recording. Am I still recording? I don't even know if I was recording, but I hope so. But yeah, with the Jupiter and Sagittarius energy, it's like, look out, especially for your experiences in like love and personal relationships in general, and understand that the personal relationships you have, those are usually the catalysts that enable the greatest expansion within your life. You know what I'm saying? And so this can be two-sided, like because Jupiter is a masculine electric sign, right? So it may not even be something that you receive, but it may be something that you give. Like you may be the expander of your relationships. Like you may find yourself being like the teacher within your relationships, but there is this symbiotic exchange that where you benefit from it as well. You feel me? So so yeah, it would be of value for you as well to understand this, and for you to kind of know that a lot of the relationships you get into, they're meant to help you expand, and that can be help you expand your pockets, help you expand your capacity to love, like emotions, right? Or help you expand like your intellect and your mind, your perception on life. You feel me? And allow yourself to be like free in your experiences and love. And this is interesting because somewhat contradicting energies, and I think we'll get into it when we talk about the aspects, because Jupiter and your Venus are in squared signs. So your Jupiter is in hold on, I'm looking. Okay, so your Jupiter is 1 degrees, and then your Venus is yep, as I suspected. So your Venus and your Jupiter are squaring each other. So there's this energy of like your relationships may have felt like they were somewhat restricted, but it's like you need to learn to kind of expand it and allow there to be breathing space. And there's a lot, like with the moon and Scorpio, there may have been somewhat of energies of power and control struggles that I think you felt free from. But like with the Jupiter and Sagittarius in the 7th house, it's all important for you to always maintain your freedom in relationships. And this doesn't mean like to be like promiscuous or anything like that, but more so your mind and your viewpoints and your beliefs, I would say more so, it should be freed. In a sense that's more so what Sagittarius wants. It wants the capacity to be able to experience, and it wants the capacity to be able to, think what it wants to think and believe what it wants to believe, right? And with the square between the Venus and the Jupiter, that may have been kind of restricted. And like I said, we'll get deeper into it when we get into the Jupiter energy. When we get into the squares and all that other good stuff later. Okay, so now for the last planet we will discuss here, and then when I get into later when I get into it, I'll talk about Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So yeah. Okay, so let's look into Saturn. So your Saturn is in Libra in the 6th house. This is good, like very, very good, except that your Saturn is squaring your Sun, right? Which is a great source to create like hard energies on oneself. Like Saturn is the planet of doubt, disbelief, self, uh, not self-undoing per se, but kind of like self-undoing because of the doubt. Saturn is like fear, doubt, and then the Sun is like the willpower, the ego, the I can, the I will. And so with the Saturn squaring the Sun, there's kind of this friction that happens where it's like there may have been a lot of energies of doubt and fear and anxiety and depression that you may have went through growing up. But let me not get ahead of myself, because I did not need to break all that down, because that's the square, which will be discussed in the aspects. Let's get into Saturn and Libra in the 6th house, though. So Saturn is actually exalted in Libra. I want to go back to Jupiter. Your Jupiter is retrograde, and so the way that the retrograde energy expresses is it expresses kind of like a inversion type of energy. Like Jupiter will like when there's a retrograde, for lack of a better sentence, like the energy of the planet that's retrograded becomes like retarded, in the sense that there may have been experiences in the past that may have made you feel like your desire to want to be free and giving yourself, like, because like maybe not even giving yourself, but like devoting yourself to a higher purpose and a higher cause, and devoting yourself to expansion and the exploration of the universe and the various wisdoms out there may have been somewhat restricted, and there may have been this unconscious energy that may have prohibited you from looking into it, even though that may have been something that you wanted to look into. So it may have been like you may have studied, you may have observed and looked into it, but there may have been this lingering weird energy of like, I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this really. And that may possibly have expressed maybe like even in your earlier days, like maybe with like the relationships you had, and like your upbringing. But when when a planet is retrograde, it's all about learning to change your attitude and your perception on that thing, which is the pursuit of spirituality and the pursuit of expansion and the connection to a higher force and the higher mind, right, or to God, right. So I think that you probably just naturally went through life and came to the realization of shifting that perception, and now you kind of allowed the Jupiter energy to freely flow. It's kind of like when the planet is retrograde, its energies don't freely flow, and it's kind of like stagnant energy. It wants to express, but it finds it difficult to express. And so you may have freed that energy to enable yourself to express and also to be all that you can be and all that you are in relationships. So Jupiter is a very expansive planet. So this means that in your relationship experiences, you are huge, like you're big, like your presence and your energy is just a lot. Like you are a lot, you feel me? And maybe there may have been times where you may have kind of felt weird about being a lot, and being all of you and being highly attuned and spiritual, and kind of restricted yourself for the sake of the partnership. But it's like, yeah, you feel me? And we'll get more into that later when we talk about the aspects, because you have like your sun, your moon, Mars. Your sun, your moon, Jupiter. Hold on. Your sun, your moon, Venus, and Mercury. They're all aspecting your Jupiter. Plus, you also have Jupiter conjuncting Uranus, Jupiter paralleling your Lilith, and paralleling your wheel of fortune. But we'll get more into that later, though. So, anyways, that's that. Now let's talk about Saturn. So, Saturn being in Libra is a good thing. Saturn is the planet that deals with balance and equilibrium and foundation. Is what I'm saying. A lot of people, when they think of Saturn, they think of Satan, right? Because that is where the terminology of Satan came from. And like the energies of Saturn and the energies of Jupiter kind of hold and signify the energy of like the divine, which is Jupiter, which is all expansion and all possibility. And then the energies of Saturn are like Satan, which is restriction, limited possibility. That's what I'm saying. Because that's not God. God is all things possible. Then Satan is like restricted. You feel me? And so when Libra is in Sagittarius, when the Saturn is in Libra, this is energy of good restrictions, good limitations, and good obstacles. Because Libra is the sign of balance, you feel what I'm saying? So it's an energy where it's like, when it comes to discipline and when it comes to self-imposed restrictions and limitations, or even the restrictions and limitations that you may have possibly experienced in your life, they weren't out of balance. They weren't extreme. They weren't negative. For what I'm saying, and these restrictions and limitations may have possibly even been imposed in regards to, especially your experiences with other people. And I think that's good as well. You feel me? Like that energy of out. So okay, there's a lot to that, but that's kind of me starting the breakdown and giving the simple ins and outs of it. You feel me? So Saturn and Libra in the 6th house. First and foremost, like I said, this is an energy that creates the restrictions and limitations in a manner of fairness, in a manner of equality and rightfulness. And so what happens is people who have this energy of Saturn and Libra, they end up themselves kind of become freedom fighters, you can say, or people that believe in equal rights and justice and balance for all, right? And they have this ability kind of to see reality and see where it's not balanced and kind of have a desire to bring balance to those areas of it, right? And so when Libra is in Saturn, right, it not only produces an individual who may be good, where temperance, right, so like moderation type energies are concerned, but furthermore, these are the individuals that are good with, working. Hold on, I don't think I wanted to use the term working. These are also individuals who, in a sense, themselves have to like learn to bring balance and equilibrium into their own life. I think, like, honestly, when Saturn is exalted, this is not really that much of a bad energy, because okay, first and foremost, Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus is the planet of the path of least resistance. It's the planet of enjoying, right? So especially like Taurus is more like enjoying the senses too much and overindulging in foods and liking sweets a lot and all of that, right? But Libra kind of is more inclined towards partnerships and relationships. But to kind of generalize it, right, with you having that Saturn in Libra, even when it comes to that Taurus desire to overindulge and the physical senses, there kind of may be this moderation energy that's in play, where it's like when you go overboard, you may know how to bring yourself back. And a good example is, like, for instance, you're smoking of weed, right? Like, weed is ruled by Saturn, right? Anything that, like, weed is ruled by Saturn, it's ruled by Venus, and it's even ruled by Mercury for different reasons though. But anything that alters our perception on reality is ruled by Saturn. The Saturn is like the planet of reality, what I'm saying. And drugs are not only ruled by Saturn, but drugs are ruled by Saturn and Neptune, right? And so that's a different story though. And so when it comes to the energy of Saturn, hold on. No. When it comes to the energy of Saturn and Libra, right, it does bring this energy of temperance and balance. So like you smoking only in the nighttime would be like a good example of that Saturn and Libra energy at play. Now, another thing with Saturn and Libra is the energy that kind of deals, not kind of, but it's the energy that deals with relationships, especially personal relationships, right? Like the 7th house is the house of Libra. And so with you having the sign of relationships and the planet of Saturn, right? And Saturn is a planet that also deals with time. It deals with trials and tribulations, and it deals with lessons and lessons needing to be learned. You feel me? All that good, different stuff. And so with you having Saturn and Libra, it kind of manifests into your platonic one-on-one relationships, right? Where it's like, it may have manifested even as you having had many different marriages, right? Like a lot of my clients who have had displacement, they've had many marriages and many divorces. You feel what I'm saying? Where it's like this energy in Saturn and Libra, because Saturn is a planet of crystallization. It's like the planet of craftsmanship, and like the planet of perfection, but the planet of trial and tribulation. Like, because that's the only way you can perfect your craft. And so for you, your craft is like your capacity and ability in marriage, and your capacity and ability in partnership and relationship. And so when I say marriage, like, we don't gotta take it all the way to legalese, right? Not legally, but like just in general, like genuinely being in a partnership with an individual and feeling like the two are one type of energy, if what I'm saying, like the unification of two becoming one. I mean marriage from that perspective. And so yeah, the energy of Libra within Saturn does kind of create restriction type of energies there. And so wherever Saturn is, it kind of plays out as poverty, right? And so the way that the poverty type of energy may express through the energies of partnerships and relationships in regards to, and it's interesting, right? Because this may kind of sound somewhat contradicting, because earlier, well, not really, because I did explain like the Jupiter square Venus a little bit, and we'll get more into that later, because like your Jupiter is in the 7th house, which is good for like relationships, but then because Jupiter has all these like squares, especially Jupiter squaring your Venus, like that kind of alters the energy of the partnerships and the relationships. And like with even Venus being in Virgo and somewhat debilitated, like the energy of Libra is kind of a little bit more negatively impacted, we can say. And so yeah, you're focused even on your branch of psychology, that embraces religion. What am I saying? That embraces relationships is a very good a good study, a field for you, because relationships, because Saturn is the planet of time. Relationships are definitely things that you should be patient with, that you should definitely invest time in and invest craftsmanship into. Because the way that Saturn works is no pain, no gain. You feel me? Like all things that comes through Saturn, unlike Jupiter, you have to work for. You have to work hard for. You feel what I'm saying? So Jupiter will kind of just give you things, and Jupiter is in the 7th house, so like your relationship energy is not all that bad. You know what I'm saying? Well, your the house of relationships, rather, I should say. So that department of life, in regards to the people that you attract, it may not be so bad. You know what I'm saying? You may attract some very interesting, very wonderful people, but then the actual function of like the actual how which is the Libra energy, right? Like the way of relating and the way of getting personal with someone and interchanging like your mind with them and those interpersonal relationships. That may specifically be where you may need to put work into. So Jupiter being in the seventh house, you may draw and attract amazing, wonderful men, but then the interaction, which is depicted by the Libra energy, which is in Saturn, may be where you need to put work into. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I remember you telling me way back that you were sharing a story with me, I think, and you were sharing with me how much of a wonderful partner you are and how you're not the problem. So I'm not here to say that I'm not here to say that you're the problem, but I guess more so I'm here to say that the way that you may interact in relationships may be the problem. And I gotta be very careful in what I mean by that. And so I guess to put it into words, like your ability and knowledge of understanding in regards to relationships now versus then, because Saturn energy kind of progresses and manifests through time. Like your ability to understand, because Libra is an air sign, so it is all about understanding and knowledge and knowing. Your ability to understand and know these things about relationships may be that which was missing prior, and that may be now a great contribution to your relationships and making them positive. But yeah, I would say that's pretty much that. Now to get into Saturn in the sixth house. So with Saturn being in the sixth house, Saturn is a planet, right? Amongst other things, it deals with responsibilities. So this may indicate that one of the things that you may have attracted to yourself is tremendous amounts of responsibilities, especially where work is concerned, because the sixth house is the house of employment, right? And so there may have been a lot of energies where work may have been a heavy responsibility type of energy for you, and also you may find yourself acquiring work a lot through like people you may know, like personal relationships or something like that, right? And so when Saturn is in the sixth house, right? This is a good. It's pretty cool. It's cool, So Saturn also is like the planet of structure, the planet of routine, the planet of discipline. You feel what I'm saying? And so the sixth house being a house of work, like this may indicate that when it comes to work, you have very good work ethics, like you have good discipline, you're good time management and type of individual. You probably don't show up late to work, like you stand on business, right? Like you when you're at work, your work, like you take it seriously, like you may even enjoy it, right? Because that Venus and Virgo energy, because Virgo is synonymous to the sixth house, right? Which you have your which you have your Saturn. So if you're having your Saturn in the sixth house, it just indicates that you have a great capacity to work and put out a lot of work and discipline yourself and create structure and routines around the energy of work. But simultaneously, because the sixth house is not only the house of work, the house of health. With Saturn being in your sixth house, this can also be an indication of making health something to be of value and to be of importance, like paying attention to your health, making sure that you have a balanced diet, like not eating clean, because like that term, I mean, yeah, there is such a thing as eating clean, but a lot of the times when people say eating clean, they take it to an extreme of being like raw, organic, plant-based, and that is ideal for sure, but it doesn't have to be that extreme. It can be as simple as making sure that you're eating your tofu, right? I know it's not tofu. I forget what it is. Tofu, right? Because that's pretty much very fiber dense and sourced from a plant. Like all African food, I would say is very healthy because of how plant rich it is, right? So things like that, like eating, or even like salmon, right? And I'm just pointing out things I've kind of seen you post. Like even salmon, right, is like a really great source of meat, right? So paying attention to your food and paying attention to what you eat and paying attention to your health in general, physical health, mental health, and emotional health, because Saturn is the planet of restrictions, and so with you having Saturn in the house of health, one of the ways that your restrictions may find themselves coming up into your life is through health, right? So it's value for you to be on it, you feel me, and not allow Saturn to manifest any opportunities into your life, where it's like, oh, and all of a sudden, like, you have to deal with this heavy responsibility of your health, which is restricting you from dealing with the other responsibilities that deal with your work. Feel me? But yeah, I would say that pretty much concludes that. And yeah, I hope that this resonated with you and that this makes sense. But other than that, yeah, I definitely enjoyed doing this session for you. It was a little different, my camera died, so I had to, and I didn't want to stop. I was kind of already in this flow type energy. You feel what I'm saying? So I just kept going, keep it pushing. you know. So yeah, I hope that this was a good session, a good reading, and I definitely look forward to hearing back from you. Right, all right. Peace.